This is another project I hope to get to in the very near future. It's my 1994 Jeep Wrangler YJ. It's fairly heavily modified. At some point, maybe I'll do a walk around video on this. But I just wanted to talk about the future plans for it over the summer. The distributor shaft gear, the teeth got ripped off, and the mating teeth on the camshaft were not in much better shape. I did try stabbing another distributor just to get it running, but did not have much luck. So I'm not going to screw with it much more. Kind of question what the last rebuild might have looked like. When I bought this Jeep, it had the Confederate flag painted on the entire engine block. It's not as apparent as it once was, but it goes clear down into the oil pan. They did a heck of a job painting the engine block. That's always been a mystery, but we're not going to mess with this engine a whole lot more. I've got another one over here that came out of a 99 TJ and had about 135,000 miles on it. Came with the gauge cluster and everything, so I'm fairly certain on the mileage. So that's what's going to go in it before long, hopefully. Holding off because I wanted to get a wood stove installed so it's not so damn cold out here working on rigs. I think my motivation would be a little better if I had some heat and I couldn't see my breath when I'm working on these rigs. So that's the plan. Excited to get this thing back on the road. We've had a lot of fun with it over the years. It's kind of a budget Jeep build, but I'll do a little walk around at some point and go over what all I've done to it. But that's the next project. This is after we've done some cleaning up on it, new gaskets and all that good stuff. So she's looking kind of pretty, prettier than the Jeep itself. I am going to do a couple things while I'm at it. Since I did buy a 99 engine, I am going to install the 1999 air intake, which is supposed to have better airflow than the previous versions because it has the curved shape as opposed to the 90-degree turns that the air has to go through on the older style intake. So there's tons of videos on that. I'm not going to go into detail on that. I am kind of curious how it goes because different people tackle the vacuum line connections and such differently. So we'll see how that goes, but it doesn't look too challenging. And then I've also got a header I'm going to put on. I'm not totally sure which one I'm going to use. I've got a couple options. The one that came with this engine, the one that's on mine, and I got a nice header from Rock Auto at a really cheap price. So we'll see which one I use. But that's the plan. I'm going to get this sucker installed so I can be back on the road and out wheeling again. So depending on how many views this video gets and if people like it or not, I may do some more YJ videos. But like I said, there's just so many of them out there. It's insane. There's as many Wrangler videos as epic fails and Karens and who knows what. But anyway, so I'll document a little bit as I go. We rolled the Jeep out of the shop to pressure wash the engine compartment and get it ready for our new engine. Yeah, getting some cleaning done. So she'll be all nice and pretty, prettier than it's been since I've had it. plan was to switch this intake out for this 99 and newer one for better flow. Obviously, the shape is for better airflow. You know, there's not making a 90-degree turn, and it's just was a better design for airflow. So that was the plan, and everybody's doing this upgrade. There's a bunch of YouTube videos on it, but what they don't talk about is the fact that the mount for the power steering is different. And my understanding is this is a fairly simple swap for 97 and 98, but not 96 and older. You run into issues with that power steering mount. So I started making all these changes to adapt for all the vacuum lines, and then found out that issue. So not everybody mentions that, but this manifold is supposed to be a relatively easy upgrade for 97, 98, but not for a 94 like this. So we're stuck with this one, but to try to get that one to work with the header I got, I made the modification that you hear about on the internet for these long tube headers, where you have to massage it a little bit to have some clearance between that and this manifold. So now I've already abused this header, and I'm not going to use the manifold that I was abusing it for. So that's unfortunate. My hope was to improve intake and improve exhaust at the same time, and maybe see a little bit of benefit. I'm not expecting a lot, because it is hard to get much more out of these 4 liters without getting pretty serious. But that was my hope. But I'm still going to throw this long tube header in and see how long it lasts, because I've seen that they're prone to crack like the stock ones. So I did, to help prevent that, I am adding a bracket that's going to mount to the block right there. And after I get that mounted up, I'll show that also. So that's just a hope that it'll support the header better, so that the whole exhaust isn't flopping around, pulling on that header, causing it to eventually crack. So anyway, that's my goal. We'll see if it works or not. Okay, next step of this engine installation is we're gonna replace all the O-rings on the injectors. And the clips just kind of pop off with a screwdriver. You just pull out the injectors, and there's an O-ring on each end, and then you just pop off the old O-ring. Then you want to clean inside the hole of the injector. The injector goes in. Then grab a new injector O-ring. Put just a tiny bit of petroleum jelly, just enough to make it so it's not dry. It doesn't want to roll over as you stuff it in there. So that's the end that goes in the fuel rail. And you want to not take them all out at the same time, preferably, so you can see where the orientation is, which side the plug goes on. And then just gently kind of work it in there. Then it pops all the way in there. And then this little clip goes in a very small slot, right where the metal meets the plastic. Just like that. We drop some O-rings. That's okay. And then put a little petroleum jelly on the top one. Pop it on top of the injector. We gotta take that one off. Pop the new one on. And I've had these 4 liters running with missing O-rings and partially cracked, deteriorated O-rings. They'll still run sometimes, but you can hear them sucking air. It's basically a vacuum leak, so you can hear that air sucking in and whooshing around the injector. You'll put your finger around there and you can hear the air change. That way you know you've got that's where your vacuum's coming from. So anyway, it's pretty easy to go through here and replace them all. There's 2 on each injector, and if you're gonna do the ones that actually go into the engine, you might as well do the other side too. These do see more wear because they're subject to the heat of the engine a little more, so it seems like they typically deteriorate quicker, but if you're doing them, might as well do them all. They're not that expensive. And that's that. We're replacing or putting this new to me engine in. I figured I might as well go through and get all the rubber parts replaced and anything that might fail in the relatively near future, so hopefully it'll be reliable for a while. Okay, we're going to carefully install the entire fuel rail, pushing these injectors into their respective holes. And it's a little tricky because you want to be somewhat gentle. Kind of seems like you have to start at one end and then work your way down. Go ahead and stop it. Here's the bracket I made to support the bottom of that header. Hopefully that'll help prevent some cracking. I'm not too concerned. I only put probably 1,000 or 2,000 miles a year on this Jeep at the most, so my hopes is that it'll hold up for a while. Some people have had issues with this style of header cracking within a year or so. So hopefully that won't be my experience. It's not the cost, because I got this at a really good price, but the pain of removing the intake manifold and everything required for that to replace that exhaust manifold. So we'll see how it goes. Tonight we got the engine in. We had to drop her in the engine bay and pull it back out a second time. The engine hoist just didn't have enough reach with my bumper and my stinger and everything on there, so we had to end up having to take the engine back out, pull the bumper off, adjust the chains on the engine to get a little more reach. We got it out that way, but sometimes putting her back in just doesn't go quite as smoothly when you're trying to line up that transmission and everything. So we need a little more exercise room there, so we took it out again and made some room so we could get the cherry picker up closer there, and finally got her in with a little encouragement. So tomorrow I'm hoping to maybe hear it run. There's still quite a bit of work to do. The power steering pump's kind of a pain in the butt. Of course, alternator belt, the exhaust. Let's see, plug wires, plugs, oil filter, fuel lines, vacuum lines. So it's sitting in here, but not much is hooked up. We don't even have all the bell housing bolts in yet. So hopefully gonna make some progress tomorrow and get her close. And of course, the radiator also has to go in. So still a lot of work left to do. Probably a good 4 to 6 hours, I'm guessing. That's the hope anyway. We'll see. So last night this engine roared to life for the first time in quite a while. And I should say Jeep roared to life for the first time in over 6 months. I don't know how long this engine's been, but this is a 1999 Jeep TJ 4-liter. I will go through some of the challenges we faced with it being a 99 motor and a 94 Wrangler, but overall it worked out. Just a few minor things we've got to work through. She sounds a lot better. I did put a header on it and change the front pipe. It has Flowmaster 2.5 inch from the catback. As I said, I wanted to go through some of the things we ran into that I didn't come across in my research and until after the fact, and this is one of them. is this temperature sensor near the rear driver's side of the head. The 99 motor does not have that. Come to find out, it only has the temperature sensor in the thermostat housing. The OBD2 Jeeps use the ECM to control the gauges, whereas the older ones, the gauges had their own sensor. So the new head does not have that port. So I ordered a new HESCO, I believe HESCO, thermostat housing, and it'll have a second port for that gauge sensor. So hopefully that works out. I'll update on that when I get that in and get that temperature sensor installed. That was one of the big ones. We did break off one of the part of one of the outlet or the inlet for the heater core, and tried to get it on what was left, but just wasn't having any luck. I might play with a little more today, but it's probably due for a heater core. I've never replaced it in the last 10 years or so, so it does need a heater core. So right now we've got it looped. This engine did come with manifold, distributor, and everything else. Just for your reference, none of the connectors on a 99 Jeep will connect to anything on the wiring harness on a 94. So luckily I had a brand new distributor for my old engine, and let's see, so we couldn't use the distributor or coil that came with this engine along with any of the sensors or anything else. All the connectors are different. So that was one thing we ran across. Fought the exhaust for a while, which isn't surprising. Just a few other minor things, but of course the things that tripped us up weren't the major things. So far so good, it runs good. Just need to keep it close to home to make sure that nothing's getting hot, nothing's up against the exhaust or anywhere it shouldn't be. So the clutch feels a little weird, but at the same time I haven't driven this thing in quite a while, so we'll have to play around with some things, make sure everything's running good before we go far from home. But so far so good. I can't think of anything else major that we ran into. Yeah, it went well. Excited to get it buttoned up. And I will go through a couple of the things that I did replace. I put did put a new header on it. I think I may have mentioned that, but just in case I didn't, which you can't see it very well, but it's not one of the ones with the expansion joint. It's more of a long tube header, and it was cheap, so we'll see if it lasts. I'm hoping it doesn't start cracking and breaking apart like some have experienced, but I figured it was worth a shot. And then I also replaced the front tube on the exhaust, the front exhaust pipe from the header to the cat. It'd never been replaced, and the one I bought, I'll probably post a picture of it or something. I don't remember the brand offhand, but seemed to be two brands out there. One of them had the ribbed design, and I just didn't like that. I just figured that can't help help exhaust flow. It has that in the bends, it has that ribbing. So this is the one closest one I could get, and to what was original, and it seems to be it says mandrel bent, but it still is shrunk on the bends, but not shrunk as much as the stock one. So I think it's better. I'll share that with you too. Can't think of anything else. All is well. It has, like I said, a Flowmaster 2.5-inch cat back. That makes it rather loud, but yeah, we'll continue to document any updates on this. But I'll post this hopefully very soon, and we'll be back on the trail. Okay, I took the Wrangler for a drive, the first drive in over 6 months, and while we're gone, of course, the caliper locked up on us and got super hot. And I'm not going to replace the caliper because it's literally brand new. It still has paint on it. Brake pads are also like new, so I mean, not even really broke in, so there's no way I'm going to start replacing components. So I got up underneath that boot and sprayed some PB Blaster in there, and then compressed it with a C-clamp and put some blocks of wood in there, and had my son press the gas pedal and push the piston out again, and did that a number of times, working that PB Blaster in, and we're going to put her back together, and hopefully that works out. That's just, I think it's just from sitting. So that was the next issue I've got to address. So just one thing after another. After a vehicle's been sitting that long, it's not surprising there's some issues to deal with. So we'll get through one at a time and just take her for short drives until we know she's reliable. We're going to finish up this video here. Maiden voyage in the YJ, running really good. Spent the day out driving around on Forest Service roads. So if you like this video, make sure you click the like button. If we get 1,000 views or 100 likes on this video, I'll go ahead and do a full walk around on everything that's been done to it. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we'll see you in the next Wrangler video, hopefully.